Ladies and gentlemen, this is the headline of international news. A great fear has just swept over France. France has just made a 180-degree turn regarding, the UC, or freezing of Russian assets. As you may know, some time ago, heated discussions took place between Paris and Berlin, or rather, among the members of the European Union, regarding the Russian assets in their banks, which are frozen. Moreover, it should be noted that they have already taken colossal amounts from this Russian sum, from Russian money, to, as they say, finance the war effort in Ukraine. France has already received its share, I believe something like 100 billion euros. Out of a total amount of 300 billion, France received an advance of 100 billion in order to, 300 million. France has already received 100 million to be able to lend the weapons that will need to be transported to Ukraine. So, they have been nibbling away at this Russian money all this time. Now, they have come to the conclusion that the ceasefire agreement that is going to be signed to allow for the same stance on Russia, since they always believed that Russia would indeed violate the peace agreement or the ceasefire. So they put a safeguard in place. Paris and Berlin. They said, well, listen, what we are going to do, let's go. In the ceasefire, if Russia violates the ceasefire, we will freeze Russian assets. We will use them in our own way. So it was an opportunity, a windfall for them to be able to profit from the money. But that underestimates Russia. Russia does not speak. Until this last decision of Donald Trump fell. We saw Zelensky, who came out to say that he is ready to sign a peace agreement, no matter the price to be paid. And so France makes a dramatic turnaround. Yes, without its friend Berlin. Without Germany. So, France makes a dramatic turnaround. So what is France saying? And what France has just said is the result of great fear. France is afraid of Russia, truly afraid of Russia. You know, when we talk about world power, Russia comes first in terms of a nuclear capability. Russia is far ahead of the United States of America. Largely, after Russia, it's the United States of America. Then it's China. And then in Europe, there are only two countries. We have France, and then which other country? The United Kingdom. But France surpasses the United Kingdom by only 10 in the GIF. So, they know the strength of Russia. That's why Donald Trump exchanged with a European official. He asked him if he could dare Russia. He is not afraid of Russia. The latter laughed. In short, it's a big fear. But what happened concretely? Let's dive into the depths, ladies and gentlemen. But before continuing, as usual, I urgently ask you to share this video conference. It needs to be shared in all possible groups. Share it as much as you can. Give it lots of likes. This gives the video conference enough visibility. There you go. Let's go. It all started with what? France, Germany, and the United Kingdom, during their last meeting in London, considered seizing Russian assets, as was mentioned. But the problem is that it's the French Minister of Economy and Finance who will come out behind them to announce France's intention to no longer want to touch this money. So the three found themselves in case if Moscow violates a future peace agreement. Then Paris and Berlin, who have pretended to oppose the use of Russian assets for some time, have finally decided. So, according to sources, French officials propose to implement the seizure of Russian assets if Moscow disrupts a potential ceasefire agreement with Ukraine. And this measure, according to them, could force Russia to provide security guarantees to Kyiv. Then, European officials reacted positively to France's idea, with growing support following the American threat to suspend US military aid. So, they supported it. Have supported. But what is happening with Donald Trump, who issued the decree to suspend American military aid to Ukraine, even the sharing of information, intelligence. The decree has not yet come into effect until proven otherwise. Donald Trump continues. America continues to exchange information with Ukraine. So they have supported. And now, what is happening? It is the French Minister of Economy and Finance who is speaking out. And France is making a dramatic turnaround. We do not know what Emmanuel Macron will say about this. France says this. The seizure of frozen Russian assets in Europe would constitute a violation of international law by France and the European Union. Here is what the French Minister of Economy, Finance and Industrial and Digital Sovereignty declared. Eric Lombard, he made this statement on the France Info channel. Yes, it is now that France understands that the seizure of frozen Russian assets in Europe would constitute a violation of international law by France and the European Union. While France has already received 100 million from this money into its economy's coffers, they have already forgotten that. But because this time, the momentum they have engaged in, if they continue in that momentum, what will happen? There will be severe retaliatory measures that France will suffer from Russia. And knowing that Russia will be aided by the United States of America, because if America has stopped its financial aid to Ukraine, any country that would financially assist Ukraine would put themselves in a position of opposing America because it's revenge. America says, no, I do not finance, I want peace. You say, no, I want to finance, but you don't have the money. You want to take money from Russia. You don't have the money, but you want to take money from Russia to finance the continuation of the war. America is stronger than you, but it will fight you. That's why the Minister of Economy and French Finance, he is smart. He quickly understood. So he went behind Emmanuel Macron's back, if we can put it that way. What is Macron going to do? There is what we call governmental solidarity. And even to know, can we talk about governmental solidarity here? Isn't it Macron who told him, go declare that? What we are undertaking with the United Kingdom and Berlin is pointless. Aren't they in cahoots? If by chance they are not in cahoots, Emmanuel Macron is obliged. In any case, France is making a spectacular turnaround. He says this, Eric Lombard. He says, the position of France is that its Russian assets belong notably to the Central Bank of Russia. It is now that France acknowledges that its assets belong to the Central Bank of Russia. It's that they have squandered there, the 100 million. What are they doing with that? Eric Lombard emphasized that such an approach would be contrary to the international agreements to which France and Europe have subscribed, reminding in passing that France was not in a state of war with Russia. So, France announces that it is not in a state of war with Russia, yet the path they have taken is the path that demonstrates they are at war with Russia. That's why I was talking earlier about revenge, about retaliatory measures. Anyone who touches Russia's money, Russia will not tolerate it. It would be as if that state declared war on Russia. What they took before, it's not serious. But as we speak, the situation has changed. The global geopolitical landscape has changed. America is now on Russia's side. America says it does not finance. You want to take Russia's money to finance, but if Russia rises against you, America will side with Russia. And that's what France is afraid of. According to Eric Lombard, the French Minister of Economy and Finance, he says that these assets could be partially used if it is stipulated by the settlement agreement of the Ukrainian conflict. If it is stipulated in the conflict settlement. However, we still don't have any document that settles the conflict. Therefore, there's no question of touching that money. The French Minister of Economy and Finance will not touch it. France will not touch it. And he also does not want the European Union to touch it. Ladies, young ladies, and Russia, international geopolitical news has taken another turn. We will continue to follow everything that will result from this. We will return here on the Tribune of Awakening Consciences to be able to elaborate on it. Thank you very much for sharing the video conference as much as possible. I will get back to you shortly with new updates. This was the voice of your one and only Samurai.